Greetings, one and all. Welcome to the demonstration video of TexPro, a leading sourcing and procurement intelligence tool for textiles and apparel industry. In this session, we will take you through Global Export Import Data module, talking about what the module covers, the, the use cases, and also the features under the module of Global Export Import Data. So let's get started with it. The Global Export Import Data module includes trade data and analysis for all the HSN codes and product types under the categories of fibers, yarns, fabrics, garments, footwear. So this includes your entire value chain, right from the raw materials to the finished goods. It includes the trade data and analysis from more than 90 reporter countries and 180 partnering countries, constituting around 90 to 95% of global textiles and fashion trade. Majority of our users use this module to understand what sort of new emerging trends are there in the supply chain. They use our analysis options like by product, by geography, and the raw trade data to deduce what are the new emerging sourcing markets in the supply chain, what is the product mix in those particular market. Vis-a-vis for any particular market, they can also understand the product mix in terms of which are the large traded products at what price points. Using the trade data, they also analyze the value and volumes of trades from different markets and also the average rates at which the products are being traded. Let's try and take you through some examples. Let me take you through the raw trade data first, and then we'll proceed into the analysis part. Over here, you have an option of searching the data either with the product code, that is the HSN code, or the keywords. So you can type in the keywords if you're not familiar with the HSN codes, or else you can try using HSN codes and select the products which are of your interest. The second search option is a aggregated search option wherein the HSN codes are aggregated into different ready to use categories. This helps you understand the data at a category level. So rather than any specific type of shirts, if you want to see how the overall shirts category is performing, you can straight away select the category. Likewise, apparel category or any other category. So this helps you do a higher level analysis to understand how the supply chains are evolving. Let's walk you through an example. Let's take one particular type of shirts. In terms of reporter and partner country, you have all combinations. You can see the data by regions or countries. Reporter country is the country from where the trade is originating. So let's take an example of, let's say, United States. The trades are reported in terms of all trade flows. So you can have the imports or exports or the trade balance or the total trade of the reporter country. Let's look into the imports of US. The trade is reported in terms of value of the trade, the total quantity of the trade, and based on the value and quantity, the system also derives the unit rate, which is basically the average per quantity rate at which the products are being traded. So let's select all of them. The data in this module is reported on monthly basis and updated in our system on every bi-monthly basis. However, if you want, you can plot and report the data on higher frequencies, as you can see from here. So this will give me the data for the period that I've selected. We cover the historical data since 2014 onwards. So if somebody wants to see the data as far as 2014, they will be able to access it. This will give me the US imports of the selected HSN codes from all partnering countries in terms of value, quantity, unit rates, month on month basis for the timeline that I've selected. The value by default is in USD. So if one wants to convert it in other currency, you have the option of currency conversion, which allows me to understand the impact of currency exchange rates on the supply chain. If one wants to understand only the trade from near-shoring countries or onshoring countries, they can remove the intra-region country trade to yes, and it will give me the trade of US with only offshore countries. Just like other modules, you can save your queries, download your data, plot them on charts as well. Now let's proceed to the analysis part. The first one that we have is analysis by product. So this particular analysis helps us to understand the product mix or the product or the trends in terms of product types and segments between the trade of a country or a trade of a particular country with respect to any other partnering country or a region. Just for an example, let's take United States. Let's try and understand the trade of US with the entire world. Let's try and understand the total imports of US from the world. You can analyze the data either in terms of volume or value. So let's do the analysis in terms of volume. Under the analysis type, you can see the entire categories of apparel, home textiles, and textiles bifurcated by different segmentations. So just to give you an example, we will walk you through, let's say, apparel by product type. And let's take the timeline as the year 24, just to give you an example of how the data will look like. So this will give me the total apparel imports of US in terms of volume for the year 2024. The total value is mentioned in the title of the chart, around about 1.6 billion dozen pieces imported. The breakup now is in terms of product type that we have selected. So the largest product category is t-shirts, followed by trousers and shorts, then innerwear, and so on and so forth, along with the value and percentage share. Let's say we are interested in shirts as a category. So we'll select this. This gives us the breakup of shirts by gender type. So we can see under shirts imports, women's category and men's category are almost equal. Under women's category, shirt imports, we can see is knitted type is slightly higher. Under knitted type of women's shirts, we can see that cotton type is the largest category. Likewise, you can start with any of those breakup at the first level, and then you can break it down to the next sub levels. So, for an example, let's say we majorly deal in women's wear category. So in that case, we can start the breakup of apparel by gender type to begin with. So now the initial breakup is in terms of gender type. So unisex category is the largest category for apparel imports of US. Then we have women's and so on and so forth. Under women's, we can further break it down. So under women's wear, we can see that innerwear is the largest segment in terms of volume. So on and so forth, we can break it down to the next sub levels. So basically, there are different bifurcations and combinations in which you can analyze the trade data to understand which are the leading categories, which are under each of these categories by material type, gender type, or product type. And to understand the trend at each of these levels and categories, we also provide you with an option of plotting them into historical time series trend. So for an example, under women wear, under innerwear, if I want to understand whether the imports of women innerwear for US is increasing or decreasing, I can just click on this, click on the time series button, and this will give me the last 5 years time series chart to understand what sort of trend is there in that particular category. You have different download options. You can download the data in different file formats. You can also view this data in tabular format. Likewise, the main analysis can also be plotted in different formats, as you can see from here. One of the formats that I would like to recommend is the bubble chart. So basically, the bubble chart plots each of these categories into three different dynamics on a single chart. So the bubble size is showing us the percentage share of that particular category in the overall apparel imports. Larger the share, larger the bubble size. On the x-axis, we have the rank based on the percentage share. So from here, I can identify the top categories which are contributing to the overall apparel imports of the country. On the y-axis, we have the y-on-y change. So it is indicating the growth, which categories are growing. Instead of y-on-y growth, if I want, I can change this. So let's say I want to see a 3-year growth rate on y-axis. So now on y-axis, we are mapping the 3-year growth rate of those categories. So from here, I can understand that shirts as a category, which is almost the sixth largest category for apparel imports of US in terms of volume, having a share of around about 7.5% in the total apparel imports, has shown a significant growth of 15% in last 3 years. Just to confirm the trend, I will plot them on a time series chart. So clearly from here, I can see that imports of shirts as a category for US is increasing. So this is how I can identify new emerging trends for different markets, either for exports or imports of the particular country or between any two countries. Now let's proceed to the next analysis type that we have, which is analysis by geography. So once we have identified which product segments or categories or sections are performing, the next step is to identify the geographies where the imports are coming from or the exports are coming from, how the trends are. So for that, we have analysis by geography. You can do this for any specific product type, HSN codes, or any category also. So continuing with our previous analysis, let's understand for shirts imports, which was the fastest growing and a sizable category for US imports, which are the markets from where the imports are increasing and what is the trend there. So let's make our selections. Product category shirts, reporter country US, imports. Let's do the country wise breakup and let's take the timeline as 2004. Let's bring it to quantity. So this gives me the total breakup of total shirts imports of US in terms of volume by partnering countries along with the percentage share and the total quantity of imports. So Vietnam is the leading 19.7% of the total shirt imports of US, followed by Bangladesh and so on and so forth. Now again, what we would recommend is to plot them on a bubble chart. So over here, we are having the y-axis as 1 year growth rate. So let's convert this to 3 year growth rate. The bubble size is showing me the percentage share the partnering geography holds in the total shirts imports of US. Larger the bubble, higher the share, and based on that, the ranking is on the x-axis. Now there are too many partnering countries, so I can filter this down by selecting the number of countries that I would like to see. So based on market share, I want to only see top 15 countries. So from here, I am seeing the leading 15 countries in terms of total import shares of US for shirts. So from here, clearly I can see most of the categories has shown, most of the partnering countries has shown growth. But Guatemala and Nicaragua has outpaced in terms of all other partnering countries. So from here, Guatemala, which constitutes around 5% of the total shirts imports of US, has shown a significant CAGR growth of 81% in last 3 years, whereas Nicaragua, which almost constitutes around 4.8%, has shown a significant growth of 92 or around about 93% in last year. Just to confirm the trend, again we can plot them on a 5 year time series chart. So clearly from here we can see the volumes are picking up from both the markets. So this is how we can identify new emerging trends in different geographies, and thereby we can identify the trends well in advance. We can also assess the risk in terms of sourcing from various markets in case if the trends are on a downward trend, and thereby we can mitigate the risk by moving out of that particular country or reducing our orders in those particular country. Then we have tariff line data. This is just similar to the trade data that I explained, but over here, if anybody is interested to see the country's national tariff line level data, they'll be able to pull the data, which will run after HSN 6-digit level. Uh, Talking about the features, now we have integrated two AI-based features in TexPro. The first is data summarization using AI, and the second is the AI chatbot. So let me explain them with an example. So in the previous example that we were looking at, wherein we were analyzing the imports of US for the entire shirts category for the year 2024. Now you can see it's a very humongous data of almost all the major partnering countries, right? Round about 100 odd partnering countries. So to point out the trends, to pick up the trends from this huge data, to analyze this data by yourselves is a time-taking task. So rather than that, one can ask AI to summarize this data, analyze this data, and give you a summary report. So for that, you have the AI summarization option over here, which will create a summary of the entire analysis, which would be very easy for a user to go through. Very quickly, one can read the data and have a summary of the key trends. So this is now popping the results. You have the overall trend. Then you have regional trends. So on and so forth. It will give us all the regional trends and highlight what are the key dynamics and key outcomes in each of these regionals and the overall trends. One can download this summary also for their reference in a PDF file and use it for their internal reportings and presentations. And then we have AI chatbot. So over here, one if does not wants to go and select the data by themselves, rather they want to pull the data, they can pull it from here by uh, having or writing prompts in the natural language. So for an example, please provide me the apparel exports of India for last 3 years. So now instead of selecting the filters and pulling out the data, the AI will pull out this information and will populate the result. So as you can see, AI is now pulling out the results. India's exports of the entire apparel category to all partnering countries for last 3 years, 2025, 24, 23. And it gives a summary of what has been the highest value, the lowest value, and so on and so forth. Other than that, there are other features just like other modules wherein you can download the data, plot them in charts. We have advanced charts that I've highlighted, and you can also save your queries for your future reference. So that's all for today's session. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.